In the previous section, we have talked about heteronomy, nature of jazz. I think that is quite controversial, or even striking for many jazz musicians. I myself never thought that jazz was heteronomous because that's not how jazz musicians think. So if you're going to tell a jazz musician, hey, you have been doing quotation, don't add the word only, if you will get beaten up. Now, I want to talk about the other side of the argument. So, jazz as autonomous, so antithesis, right? The other arguments. Because this is how normally jazz musicians think. Because um, we, even when we play, we are in full control in decision making. So you can't say that we are actually subordinate under an external source. For that, the literature that I would like to introduce is by William Days. A very interesting article. Of course, he didn't write this to argue against the heteronomous thing, but I would like to put his article here to contrast the thinking with the heteronomy nature of jazz. Now, here, what he is trying to argue is based on Thelonious Monk's comment, he tried to establish a kind of way of thinking about jazz that tried to argue jazz is a form of self-reliance, and it is a form of moral perfectionism. That means the decision you make in jazz playing is not just playing, but it's also a moral decision. Have you ever thought about that? First, when I heard about this, I felt like you're going too far. But if you really think of it, you chew about it for some times, and if you really think moral in a more broader sense, then you will start to understand what does it mean by a moral decision when you play. It does resonate with my personal experience in playing jazz all this while. Now, the other one is self-reliance. This term actually he get from a very famous philosopher, Rudolph Emerson, from Emerson. So there are 3 points here. Now, these 3 points actually come from monks, right? Thelonious Monk, but constructed by William Days. Basically, it's talking about how one should carry himself when he plays jazz in an ensemble. Right? So the first point is that the thinking of playing is not that we are not going above or sublime the act of expression, but we domesticate it, or simply we be in it. Right? Number 2, and one is not to simply rest on the given circumstance, not to absorb by the rhythm section, but you need to identify yourself in playing. So even when you play as a group, you play in a situation, you still need to identify yourself. You're playing, in a way, you're playing against your partner as well. But on the third point, he said the self-reliance, this kind of self-reliance, that means everything you can manage and you control, you're in full control of yourself, is yet not a break from the surrounding context. It's a thinking that takes place in the instancing. So what he's trying to say is that it is a kind of self-reliance that happens when you work together with people, right? So the conclusion, he used a very interesting phrase by Emerson, from Emerson 2001. If you want to know all this literature, please check my paper. At the back there are references. Yeah. Now the dictum by Emerson, the quote by Emerson, the quote from Emerson's writing, goes like this: "It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion, It is easy in solitude to live after our own, but great is the man who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. So I leave that to you, talking about this the autonomous part of jazz. So here we are done with section 3, and join us for section 4 when we put things together and talk about the role of audience in jazz.